know you got some struggles, come let's talk about it. I know you got some pain, come let's talk about it. You thumbing through that rain, we gon' talk about it. Let's talk about it, let's talk about it. We building up that kingdom, we gon' heal the body. Just 3 men sitting here, we tryna be so godly. Got purpose in the tongue so we can hear your calling. Let's talk about it, let's talk about it.
All right, now let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Today, we're going to be talking about, are they the one? Does God really choose who your partner is before you even meet them? Does God have somebody set for you that was part of his grand scheme all along, and you just are destined to find each other? So we're going to get into today on our podcast. Let's talk about it. In this podcast, we talk about things that folks might disagree with. Some of the topics might be kind of controversial. Some of the topics might be a little less so. But overall, we want to talk about things that folks may disagree on, and I'm gonna go back and forth on them. Get some thoughts on whatever sides are there. Kind of react towards that, level it, and see where both sides can maybe find some common ground between them, and ultimately really see what Scripture says on that. So let's get into it.
Sweet. Well, I'm your co-host, Wisdom with Josh.
I'm your co-host, James.
I'm your co-host, Logan.
And yeah, the predestined topic, because I ain't gonna lie, guys. Like, I feel like God kind of he's like, all right, bro, I got a partner for you. Be patient. Let me develop you. Let me build you. And then I'll let you interlock with that partner of yours. And I have a heavy belief that predestined is probably a thing, right? But okay, I really want to talk about it. So I want to hear both of your guys' perspective. Number one is, do you feel like, I want to hear from both of you, do you feel like you have a predestined partner, or is there a likelihood of you kind of pick and choose yourself? So yeah, Logan, let's start with you.
Well, the side that I'm going to represent is predestined.
Predestined.
My personal belief is that I don't know if you have one particular predestined partner.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't see why that couldn't be the case. But I genuinely don't think that it's necessarily the case for everybody.
Interesting. So what are some of the things that people or let's just say, why would someone believe you have a predestined partner, especially in the Christian community?
Yeah, good question. So, first off, in the world, predestined partner it's like, I don't know, 60-75% of Americans believe that.
Yeah,
right.
The majority for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know about the Christian statistics of that, but it's still widely held as a belief in the church. And I think there's quite a few reasons. So number one, when we're talking about predestined partners, we can talk about predestination as a whole, because I think that if a predestined partner exists, then you have to be able to make the case that predestination as a whole can exist in other areas, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if we look at things like, for example, in the Bible, when we talk about, for example, Jesus was predestined, right? That's like the most obvious case. But then we talk about things like Moses, or even John the Baptist, right? Certain people, their life paths seem to be predestined.
As in, like, no one else could have done that but them.
Exactly. You look at someone like John the Baptist, everything that surrounded his birth and his life and the circumstances and everything, right? Like, he was there to fulfill certain prophecy. And because of all the circumstances on his life, I'm not saying that no one else could have fulfilled that, because God will always find a way. But who could have fit all of the circumstances needed to fulfill that prophecy, to make the way for Jesus, the way that it was prophesied beforehand, and that John the Baptist, all of his circumstances of like, just the way he was born, and everything that was said about him in the Old Testament, he fulfilled, right, and by his life.
Jesus' cousin.
Yeah, he was literally Jesus' cousin, exactly. And so it's like,
imagine just being able to be like, I'm about to go to my cousin's crib. Oh, who's your cousin? Jesus. Like that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah,
True.
that'd be insane.
Yeah.
And probably no one even like knew who he was at that point until he became known.
Oh, is that Messiah guy?
Oh yeah, that's the guy that says he's like God in the flesh or something like that.
That's just that carpenter's kid, right?
All right, yeah.
So,
But yeah, I think when you look at things like that in the Bible, I think you can make a case that there is predestination in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And so if you can get on board with that, then how outlandish is it to translate that now over to a partner? You know what I mean? Who's to say that that isn't a universal, that there is a form of predestination? Now, some people will say like that takes away free will. And I know, we've talked about it a little bit amongst each other beforehand.
Yeah.
And I do kind of want to go into that a little bit because, if it is predestined, does it take away our free will?
Before we go there, I also want to hear what your thoughts are, right? Because you were sharing about the point of predestined, like being predestined is a thing. So it's not outlandish to believe that you can also be predestined with relationships because no one else is going to fulfill the prophecy of Jesus. Jesus had to be the one to do that. That's it, right? So you, on the other hand, right, representing the side of people who believe that there's no predestiny in terms of relationships, not in life, but in terms of relationship, there's not a predestined partner for yourself. There's more so opportunity. Kind of elaborate on that. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would say folks that believe in that, honestly, I feel like the concept in itself is just kind of over romanticized, right? I feel like there's not really a basis to lean on anything to say, oh, this is actually the case, right? Oh, I will pick who your partner is. There's nothing to say that. I think folks just want to believe in that so bad. And I feel like, all the romantic movies and novels just have folks like oriented towards like, oh, it's gonna be special and like we're gonna be made for each other and we're gonna be just destined for each other. And it's like, no, just go find somebody that you can work with and be with them, right? And I guess that kind of dulls it down in a way. But it's not to say that your relationship isn't special. Your relationship is special. Yeah, you have a beautiful relationship. I'm not taking away from that. But I would say that the case is that you have a choice, right? And that comes with you need to know what you want and know what you're looking for and be able to recognize that in a partner and be willing to compromise, right? Because a lot of people, they have this laundry list, like they're cooking up their order for God to go back in the kitchen and make up their man, right? He's not taking orders, right? Like it's Chinese takeout. He is just focused on his relationship with that person, right? And is not making that person for you, he's making that person for him. And
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Right. And so people are like, oh, like this person was made for me. No, that person was made for God, by God. And you just happen to be compatible. So figure out what you want, be willing to compromise. And then you have to explore, give people a chance. Dating sucks, yeah, but go out on them dates, give people a chance. And when ultimately, luckily, you find that person or not, then be able to commit, right? And I think with knowing what you want, taking that to God, right, and saying like, hey, like I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to have a relationship now, and like I kind of feel like I understand what I'm looking for in a partner. And then God might not be chefing up that person, but he might say, hey, you know what? I'll keep a lookout. Like if somebody comes along and I know somebody in mind, I'm gonna send them your way. Like God isn't handcrafting them for you, but he will play wingman.
Interesting. So I want to circle back to that because that right there sounds like the full use of free will, as in you yourself can decide. God gives you the free will to do it. But what you were mentioning is that just because predestined, just because you could have predestined person or just representing that side, that your free will is not necessarily taken from you by you choosing to let God be the deciding factor. So can you elaborate more on what you were speaking about with free will?
Yeah, definitely. So again, let's go back to like someone like, all right, let's just take the biggest example, Jesus. Okay. He was clearly predestined to live the life that he lived and to fulfill what he did, right? But he still had ultimate free will that he could have just said, you know what? I ain't trying to go to the cross. I ain't trying to do all that. You know what? I think I'm going to just live out my life however I want as a human, you know? And he could have done that. And he has free will to do that, right? But I think it's really important to know that as you get closer to God, the more that you surrender to him, your free will is the decision to give up your free will to God so that his will can be done in your life. And that's really that's the choice that you make with your free will, is to give it up.
Which means that you don't decide what happens next.
Exactly.
Which could potentially mean you may not decide your partner as well.
Could be. That could be anything in life, especially a partner.
Wow. Because that's such a good point, is making the decision to take the free will that you have and use that free will to surrender it to God, which doesn't take away your free will, but it more so takes away the option to have free will, because you're choosing now to give it all to God, which is it's just such a thought-provoking thing, because I'm in the belief myself of like predestined relationships are a thing of like, if you're in it, if you trust God wholeheartedly with your life, including the relationships, then that means you can trust that he'll bring the right partner. And I believe, like, with the idea of like you were mentioning, knowing what you want, right? And you can go in the, like, God's not back there chefing it up, but I believe God's also he's not chefing it up, but he hears what you're saying and he's swifting through, because he directs and guides your path. So he can decide that you're going to go make this left, this right, this left, to be to a person that, quote unquote, could be predestined. But then also within your free will, you can decide not to follow that destiny. Right.
Yeah,
so
I think that gets into obedience. Right. Because like your whole path can be like, God can lay a path before you and you completely choose not to do it. Right. But I think people kind of overplay how detailed or how invested like God is into their whole life, right? And it's like, I wake up in the morning, I got 5 boxes of cereal. Which one do I pick? Like, is God ordaining that? Right?
You get
like,
Why were the
you
White
got Captain
Sox and the
Crunch
Red
today or
Sox?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Like,
God, what you
Fruit
want me to
Loops?
wear today? You want me to wear the Calvins or?
Right. Do I stun on them today, God? Like, should I do
Look
it
at
to
what we
him?
done,
humble
God.
guy.
I'm just saying. Look,
Right.
should I wear the Burberry?
I think I need to do it to him today. And it's like, it's not, I feel like, honestly, it's not that deep, but I feel like God has purpose, like, that he wants you to execute. And within the bounds, if it doesn't conflict with that purpose of serving him and glorifying him, then you have the freedom to choose, like, hey, God, like, I'm interested in this. Like, I want to explore this. Like, all right, cool. Like, that doesn't take away from the mission. So you're like, have at that, right? If I want to make model ships in a bottle like an old man, it's like, I can go ahead and do that. But I think we need to be careful on how much we stress like free will and surrender, right? Because surrender is say like, hey, like I have some things that I want to do. Like, going through college, I had a field of interest that I was interested in, but I had no idea like what my steps would be to get to that. And I just constantly said, God, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know you know, and I'm gonna trust you. So whatever goes, whatever happens, whether it works out or not, I'm gonna trust in God for that.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up a scripture, because I want to kind of hear both of your thoughts on this. It's a scripture in Proverbs. So let me pull this up. Okay. All right. So this scripture is it for me feels like if the Lord is establishing your steps. So let's look at Proverbs 16:9. It says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. So based on what you're saying, right? It's like you choosing and picking who you want to be with is your plan. But on the side of potential predestined, that is the established step. And I'm viewing it as like, so for I know we've both been in all of us have been in a relationship before. You're currently in a relationship. If in your talking phase, before you guys started dating, did you ever feel like if you were to talk with anyone else, or if you did talk to anyone else, there was some form of conviction or something that didn't feel right? Versus when you first talked to your girlfriend and when you first met her, there was something that just sunk so well with each other that why would you go explore anything else? But did you feel any conviction trying to explore anything else, or even did you explore anything else in that moment?
Oh, dang.
Good question.
Just being transparent, right? Like Rachel, people go through this,
and I don't think it's just to give full clarity, like I don't think it's a bad thing if when you're talking to like a sister, like I don't think it's a bad thing to have options open.
Right.
For sure.
Like,
and on the side of the sisters too, like if a sister's talking to you, like I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily to not have all your eggs in one basket. But to your point, like when I was starting to talk to Rachel a little bit more, we started texting a lot more. I was actually also starting to text other people as well, and I got that conviction of like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna just have to let these other sisters go, and I'm gonna have to just lock in with Rachel for a little bit and just get to know her more, build a deeper bond, and just see where that goes.
Talking to most of you, felt like what was you feeling there? Were you feeling kind of dishonest? Or
not dishonest, because like
genuine?
when Rachel and I first started talking, like texting over the phone and stuff, because we both had like busy schedules, we didn't really hang out very much. It wasn't really like, it was really just getting to know each other. It wasn't like all like cutesy and like, getting all like bubbly with each other. Like we were just getting to know each other,
right,
as like brother and sister.
Right.
As we started talking a little bit more, then like we like started going on dates. Then I was like, yeah, you know what? I really, really want to lock in with her. And so, yeah, like I got that conviction of like, I don't really see myself locking in with anybody else. Like I want to see where this goes. It feels right.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm going in the right direction with her.
The feeling that like, cause when I first started dating, I'm recently new to the dating scene. Right. And I remember when I first started talking to this sister, I had mentioned I think we were on our way leaving somewhere and we were saying goodbye. It was our last day hanging out with each other. And I was like, so there's a few other sisters that I still communicate with, that I'm talking with, and I would still like to get to know other people. How would you feel about that? And she mentioned she never wanted me to be she didn't want to make a decision for me, but like, let's see where this goes. And I was like, okay, I feel that. But when I left there, it was like the thought of talking with anyone else really, really convicted me. And I couldn't tell if it was for the idea that I was like, let's see where this goes, or if it was the fact that I'm going out of line trying anywhere else than where I found, because the woman that I'm with now, God willing, I think this will go pretty far. And this is just the beginning stage, who knows, right? But it's just the idea of the fact that I felt something, even considering going outside of something that's worked so well. And the way that we started dating and the way that things happen was so aligned with God that it's just hard to say whether or not God had someone else for me, or that something else would have worked if I searched for it.
Yeah. I guess I could share like on the opposite
end
of that, right? Because I definitely feel what you're saying, right? Because when you do meet somebody that kind of hits all of those things, it's like, why would I even bother talk to another person like at all, right? Not like this is wraps for me, right? But personally on my side, it was like, I had that feeling, met somebody, I'm like, oh, I sealed. Like I have no interest in like talking to anybody else. That's completely dead. Like anything that like was open was dead. And thought that like everything that I had wanted, like everything lined up in like every way, but that amounted to nothing, right? And like went nowhere. And so it's like, I don't think that feeling of like, oh, you know what, like I don't think I should be talking to anybody else, right? I think it's like, yeah, you're interested in the person, so like other people become disinteresting to you, and you can also kind of feel like even like in your case, right? It was kind of mutual, like, oh, okay, cool, like, and I appreciate the communication there. That's huge to say like, hey, I'm gonna be doing this. Like, I do have some doors open. I do want to continue to explore that. Great. And like even in that sense where like it's not going behind the person's back to do it,
Right.
or so there's not the dishonesty or like the misleading, but you kind of feel like, you know what, if this one could work out, and that like you have that flame or that spark of like that hope, then it's like, why should I invest in like contingency plans? I should invest in where I feel like success is gonna be.
The contingency plan is hilarious.
Yeah, you go back though. I'm sorry.
We got contingency plans in sales, and like, yeah, you back out on that, I'm getting my money back. Yeah, we're getting this. So that's funny. But that's man, 'cause that's a whole nother perspective, right? Like in a position, I appreciate you sharing that, right? Just being in a case where everything felt so right and it didn't amount to what you thought it would be. Right. It's interesting, right? It's so interesting. So, you know, I don't know where to actually.
Well, I wanted to say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to say, first off, let me just say this for the record for everybody. When Rachel and I, just to like clear the air, when Rachel and I first started talking, when you guys were saying talking, I didn't know that we were talking about like the talking stage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we had to hit that talking stage, I wasn't talking about it. So I just wanted to
clear the air now, bro.
Clear before that goes anywhere that it shouldn't. Once I knew we were like in that talking,
you already and hit this part.
I can't believe you.
I don't need none of that.
Yeah.
Nah, once I knew that, I was like, all right, cool. I'm locked in on her. But I did want to touch on that. What you said, like to your case, it didn't work out, and I'm sorry, that sucks. And to mine, it just happened to work out, and that doesn't necessarily mean that was like predestined. However, what I will say is that I have prayed very, very intensely. I've fasted about it. I've sought counsel, and it's very, very clear to me that Rachel is somebody that I, God willing, want to spend my life with, right? And so, God willing, right, His timing and everything, but from the jump, I knew that because I was so invested in prayer. I was so invested in seeking God's will. And He showed, like, he genuinely made it clear to me, like, I want you to date her.
When you say from the jump, what does that mean? Like, how quickly were you fully aware I want to spend the rest of my life with her?
Okay, rest of my life came later. So I think of God like a GPS sometimes. Like when you're following like your GPS system, like on your phone, right? You're driving, you're listening to music. You know you got to take a turn in like 2.5 miles, right? You know that eventually, if you follow this GPS, you'll get to your destination. All you know, though, is that you got to take a turn in 2.5 miles. You don't know all the lefts and the rights and the different highways and all the roads you're about to take. Right. But you know that you're going to get to that destination if you take that turn in 2.5 miles. And then you take the next turn and the next turn, right? And so for me, that's how I think of my walk with God in everything that I do. And I know He'll take me where I need to be at some point. I just got to take that next turn that He's telling me. So for me, like with Rachel, I knew that He wanted me to pursue her. Didn't know what that meant, right? Had to get counsel, like had to figure out how to do it in a godly way. I've never dated in the kingdom or anything like that before. All my relationships were worldly. But I knew I wanted to pursue her. I knew I wanted to at least date her and see where that went. And I knew that God was calling me to at least date her and see where that went.
And how like, what was that to say, I know this is what God wants me to do specifically with this person? Like, what did you feel, or what was the confirmation that you got? Like, this is the route to go.
It's hard to explain, man, because what's your confirmation with anything from God, right? Like it's clarity, it's peace in your heart, it's peace of mind, it's confirmation from other people. There's a lot of different ways that God can speak to you, right? But like, I think the biggest thing is when you pray about it and he gives you that clarity. It's like you know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you can
Yeah.
explain that to somebody logically who doesn't have that same experience with God of just, you know that you know. And you have that peace, you have that clarity, and it's like you have no ifs, ands, or buts about pursuing that thing. So for me, that's how I felt with Rachel. And so I knew I wanted to at least date her, see where it went. I didn't know if it was going to go to marriage, right? And now we're over a year in. Now we're hitting that point where I'm praying for the next stage, right? And more and more and more, God is giving me that clarity of like, you know, that's a potential next step that is in his will for us. Now, does that mean like that she's predestined for me? Honestly, man, I don't know if I believe in predestination or not predestination. I don't see why it couldn't be the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that anybody could sit here and tell me that that's not the case. There's no way to prove that she's not the one that God predestined for me.
So I want to ask, right, and to hear from both of you, is there harm in believing in predestination, and if so, is that ruining people's chances for dating?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely
yeah.
harm in it.
Yeah. Well, you go.
Yeah. All right. So the harm is not being active. Right. The harm is saying like, oh, God's got somebody for me, and I'm just gonna wait until they come along. I'm just waiting for God to send me my wife/husband, and that's not a good use of singleness, right? One of our younger brothers was telling me about this book, and so I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna start reading it. And it's called Single, Dating, Engaged, Married, right? And in the singleness aspects, he talks about the purpose of singleness, which is to have undistracted devotion to God. Like the reason why you are in a season of singleness is to spend that time just you and God,
Right.
and to build on that relationship. So if you're sitting there like, I want a husband, I want a husband, I want a wife, I want a wife, you're not focusing on your relationship with God. You're focusing on your relationship, your desire for another person, right? For me, folks were telling me like, oh, like when are you gonna start dating somebody? When are you gonna start dating somebody? We got a bunch of ladies here in the church. We got some great sisters here. Come and take some of them out.
Facts.
You know, let me introduce you to so and so. So like, when you gonna get? I'm like, bro, I ain't trying to do all that, bro. I'm just here to like talk to God. Like I'm fresh out that water. You know,
Right.
I'm not worried about all that. And had zero interest for years. And then one day I was like, all right, God, like I think I want to have a partner. Like that might be cool. You know, I'm like, I might give this thing a shot. Like, not trying to be forever alone.
Yeah.
And but
Wipes
the
away
thing
the
is,
tear.
what do you do? What do you do in that time, right? Are you spending that time pining for a person when you should be striving to get closer to God and developing yourself, developing your relationship with God, right? So one, like that waiting, like, God, when are you gonna send this person? And you see another couple and you're like, God, when is that gonna be me? And it's like, hey, I have a whole bunch of like other stuff that I need you to do real quick. Like you need to deal with that.
Right.
Also, we haven't really spent any time together. Do you like want to hang out sometime? Right? It's like hey, unless somebody be like, hey, like when you're gonna like hook me up with your brother, but they haven't like talked to you in a month.
Facts.
And it's like, hey, your brother is cute. Can you hook me up? Like, you ain't talking to me in like 2 months. Like,
you and my brother, but you don't talk to me.
Right.
Like, that's messed up. But I think ignoring or like neglecting what God has for you to do and your relationship with Him, and then also not being active in yourself, because there's self growth. Maybe you have past relationship trauma that you need to heal from. Right? Do what you need to do to be in a position where you're actually ready to be in a relationship.
Right.
Also consider a lot of the things of like, what are you willing to compromise on or sacrifice for a relationship? Right? Like, are you aware of like the realities of a relationship? Like, you might meet a partner and like they have wants or needs that like you had never thought about, or like you had never like thought about whether you would be okay with that.
True.
Right.
And people are like, man, I want a relationship, but you haven't weighed like what are your boundaries? Like what is your give take when it comes to a relationship? So doing the work that you need to do on your own relationship with God, and two, to be ready for and seek out a partner.
So in your view, being predestined relationships is detrimental to your dating life because it forces you to be at a point where you do nothing and you take no action.
Not that it forces you, but people get lazy.
People get lazy because they're waiting on God.
Right. They're like, God's going to do it for me anyway, so I'm just going to sit around and wait for God to do it. And then just try to like pester God to like hurry up and send that person.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of agreed with the same thing. What are your thoughts on that?
So I actually wholeheartedly agree that could be a potentiality.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything that you say. Like, singleness is a gift, and it's a gift to serve God and to serve his people because you just have way more time. That's really it. You have way more time. You're not like, you're not responsible for somebody else, right? Like as you get into relationships, you're responsible for another person, right? When you're single, you have all that time to serve the church, to serve the body, to serve other people, to serve God, to get closer to God, to work on your own character, right? Like before you get into a relationship, you want to work on your character because you take all of that with you, right? What I will say though, on the flip side, is that I was not looking for a relationship when I met Rachel, like at all. I was actually wholeheartedly in the same exact boat as what you're talking about. Like I'm going to spend every waking moment that I can trying to serve people, trying to serve the church, trying to get close to God, work on myself, work on my relationship with God. And truth be told, I was not ready for a relationship. Like I just wasn't. And I think most people, whether they openly say it or not, can agree. Like when I first started dating Rachel, like Rachel had been a disciple for like, I don't even know, like 6-7 years. I was a disciple for like maybe a year. You know what I mean? And where I came straight out the world, and like what I came from was like crazy. Like I didn't feel like I was equipped to be able to handle a relationship. And truth be told, I wasn't. But God,
would you say you were open to one though at that time, or were you even closed off to it?
I was closed off to relationships.
Wow.
To be honest, it wasn't until, like I said, we started talking more that I started realizing this woman has everything that I didn't even know that I wanted in a woman. And it truly felt like God put her in my life, and it felt like God wanted me to pursue her and date her. And over the course of time, like, was I equipped and ready for that relationship? By no means at all. But over the course of time, the amount of growth that I've undergone because of the relationship, because of the character growth that you inevitably go through when you're dating somebody, and when you're, when you guys are putting Christ at the center of it, you guys go through character growth that you can't go through when you're single. Man. Right? You can't have those same experiences when you're single.
That's real.
You can still go through plenty of character growth when you're single, but those experiences are, unique and conducive only to a relationship. So, like, was I ready for it? No. Was I looking for it? No. When I found it and I pursued it, it allowed me to grow in a lot of ways that I didn't know I even needed to grow in.
What would you say, like, the parts where you're missing, like, were any of them, like, detrimental to the relationship? Because a lot of people have things where, like, they need to grow in, where it's, like, you're detrimental to your partner.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's true.
You're a burden. Like, you're a liability to be in a relationship, right? Right? But I don't know, from watching y'all's relationship, I feel like you felt unequipped and like you weren't sure of like of navigating the relationship, right? And you just felt like unprepared, like unready. But do you feel like you had like baggage coming in that was like detrimental, like negative towards your partner?
I feel like I definitely had a lot of emotional baggage that I hadn't quite dealt with. But because of being in the relationship, those things have been pointed out to me. And it's not even that she helped me deal with it in any way, shape, or form. It's really just that being in the relationship has helped me see that I needed to work on those things. So like I would say yes, potentially, but it all ended up working out.
And so potentially too, right? Like you got exposed to those things. It wasn't detrimental to your dating relationship. It could be detrimental to your marriage. And so he's helping you get through these things in the dating, and it couldn't have been exposed to you until you started dating. Wow.
Which like crazy. Those things didn't surface, right? So it's not like you were like toxic during that time. But like what Joshua just said, like it could have been depending on like through marriage, like the situation is more intense there,
Sure.
right? There's more risk there involved. But yeah, no, some people like you can just tell from the get go, like this person is toxic. Like they just have things that they need to work on that is going to be detrimental to their partner, and like you can't really depend on your partner to resolve those things, right? You can have a
True.
partner to like reveal those things, but that healing really comes back to like your relationship with God, right? And like maybe, you know, that may come out of a relationship where you guys don't end up working out, right? But like that relationship is used to like reveal things in both of you, something
True.
you take away from that, like, oh man, here's some areas that I need to grow in, right?
Yeah.
And it's surprise. And it's not always gonna be like one hit and done, right? And then it's like everything falls in line. Amen if that happens. But for sometimes, you know, you go in a relationship, you learn things because there's that's an environment where you're gonna learn a lot of lessons that you can't just by yourself, because that reflects in your character. But that comes back to like, to be ready for marriage, like there's growth that needs to happen. And if you're somebody who like the things that you need to grow in is detrimental to your partner, or you're being toxic and causing that person stress and like making that man pull his hair out, dissociating, right?
Then God may not even put y'all together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you gotta think about like, did God put y'all together, or like did you just have the desire to be with this person? And a lot of times, honestly, that comes out of just like attraction. Right?
True.
I got myself in trouble. I'm like, I know I got no business being with this girl, but I was attracted so much, just try to be with her anyways. And then I learned my lesson for that. And God's like, yeah, you
Facts.
got yourself in that relationship because you thought that girl was bad. Now you found out how bad for you she really was.
She was bad both ways. Either way. One of the things that you had mentioned too is about not being lazy. James chapter 2 verse 26, for as the body without the spirit is dead, so also faith without works is dead. So it tells to the fact, like, if you have faith, even if it's predestined faith, it still requires work. You still have to put some form of work into it. And it's not the like going out and pursuing work, but like, just as you were mentioning, you weren't searching for it, you weren't looking for it, but when it was there, you worked it, right? You actually were giving it a shot and giving it a chance. So it's the idea that I believe that predestined relationships, like, yes, it can be detrimental to you, but if you feel as if that's the way that works for you and it is something that can work for you, just don't think it's going to work without you doing any effort, right? You still have to do the searching effort. You still have to go out there, put yourself out there. And if you're not putting yourself out there, be open for opportunity and personal development. I can't express personal development enough, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's to be something that everyone should do, is building yourself up in general. To be someone, like you were mentioning, do you have the characteristics? Do you know what you want as a man or as a woman? Do you know what you want? And are you becoming a person that is desirable to somebody?
Yeah, I'll drop these nuggets here, like, 'cause I've been having a lot of talks, particularly with our sisters, about like relationship issues, right? And two things that come up is want areas and need areas. And those are two things that you need to identify if you're interested in, like, you want a relationship, right? You need to know what your wants are, things that are flexible for you, and what your needs are. And the feedback that's come from them is that basically in these scenarios, they have need areas that are not being met. And I'm telling them, like, this falls into a need area. That's not something that you can compromise on. But you really have to boil down, like, is this really like a need? Can this relationship go on if I'm not getting this from my partner?
Yeah.
Right? And like, what are those? And then you know what those are, but then being able to communicate with a partner, right? And that comes with knowing yourself. So we talked about like knowing what you want in a partner, but knowing the core essence of like what your needs are. And that could be something as simple as like, hey, he doesn't like initiate in communication, right? Like, he was initiating communication before, but like all of a sudden that's died off. And like, I don't know, I just feel like he's not initiating as much. It feels like he's not as invested.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, well, like, all of that, the act is he's not like texting you as often or first or as early as he used to be in the day or whatever. And I was like, all right, it's small things. But take that, boil that down. You're not feeling what out of that? that he's invested in the relationship, that he wants to talk to you, that he wants to see you. So you don't feel invested in, or that also cared for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So feeling that way is a want or a need for you. It's a need. All right, well then they have to communicate to your partner, hey, this is a need area. Like, it's not the symptom that's the problem. It's what your actual like disease is. The disease is there's a lack of initiation, lack of investment on your side. So boiling those down, feeling what you need to feel from your partner, is that security, is that investment, is that care, whatever that is, having that alongside your wants.
I wanted to ask you, Logan, based off what he was just saying, right? Like, you know, those are some of the problems that people have in relationships. But with you feeling like, not necessarily that Rachel was predestined for you, but that God is calling you to give this a shot, give this a chance. Have you felt like any of those have been a real issue or problem in your relationship? Or did those things kind of come effortlessly?
I would honestly say that they, for the most part, came about effortlessly.
It's weird, bro. Yeah, elaborate on that.
Like,
Elaborate.
The more that we started talking, the more I started realizing, like I said before, those boxes were just being checked off. Then as we started dating, as we started developing that, not only that friendship, but also the romantic relationship, like connecting on all the different points, like emotional, intellectual, goals, dreams, hopes, future, everything just aligned. And like those specific things like communication or like things like that, it just came about effortlessly.
Wow.
It just, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that that's necessarily just because, you know, if you believe that it was predestined, then that's the reason why there wasn't a whole lot of friction in areas that a lot of people see friction in when they don't work out. But what I will say is that you still have to put in the effort. Like, I still have to make it a point. Like, I made it a point when we first started talking to communicate. But I was working like 14-hour shifts roofing.
I remember that.
And I would still text her like twice a day. I would still try and call her up every couple of days so we could like talk and catch up and stuff. We would still try and make it a point to find times to go on dates and hang out and stuff. And it still takes that effort, but it wasn't friction. It wasn't like no conflict really came up.
Wow.
And we're a year and some change in now, and we've barely had any conflict.
Wow.
Not no conflict.
Yeah.
But the conflict is always easily resolved. We always come back. We have people in our lives. We have counsel. But because we keep God at the center, and because we truly both believe God has put us together, like at least for now, at least to date, and we keep him at the center of it, any conflict that comes up is mended pretty fast.
Wow. Let me ask you something. In those conflicts, has there ever been a point in your conflict where you had to question whether you wanted the relationship or not?
Well, I think, okay, so for me, like, I think that question could be misinterpreted by the answer, just because for me, when things get tough, I'm like, I'm gonna go find an easier way. So I don't think that it's necessarily conducive of like, we're not supposed to be together.
Yeah. And
you know
not
what
to
I
give
mean?
it like a trick question, right? Because like I do think that is typically like the core question that you need to ask every time that you do come into conflict, right? Is like, you guys have an argument, you have a conflict. Do I still want to be in this relationship? If the answer is yes, then work through whatever the thing is.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I haven't thought about it like that necessarily, because I've always just kind of been locked in.
So it's just always default been yes for you.
Yeah, basically. I haven't thought about it too much. It's more of just been like, all right, let's figure out how to fix it.
And does that have anything to do with the idea that God confirmed with you that this is the route you need to be going? Or was it just by default, you just kind of just like, you know what?
By default, to be
you
honest.
just never had to be like convinced.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where my thought comes in. Maybe not, even if it's not, like, I like what you mentioned earlier about the wingman aspect.
Yeah.
Like, then it's just wisdom. It's about discerning and using wisdom. And God could wingman you, like assist you based on who you are and what you've grown and what your desires are and what would really best suit you when you're waiting for a partner. he'll wingman you to somebody, but then you still have to put the work in, pursue that. Like, you got to work on yourself. Like, one thing about Logan is so great with conversation. I think all three of us are, including you, James, are like very great.
Really?
Really great with.
Maybe we should start a podcast.
We probably should. Let's just talk about it.
We should talk about stuff sometime.
But he's like you're very like that's a characteristic a lot of men are looking to have, and that's what women want out of a man, right? So you have that ability to go talk to somebody and effortlessly talk to them, right? Mm-hmm. So you have that ability, and you're a very charismatic guy, right? So it's not hard to like Logan, but then you know what I mean? Like, just as a person in general, just even as friendship, it's not hard to like you. It's very easy to like you. And then God wingmans you and it's like, okay, well, you've developed yourself. You're not perfect, but you got these characteristics. And here's something that's going to
someone you're going to vibe with.
Yeah, here's someone you can vibe with. Go ahead, just see. And then all of a sudden, it just clicks. And then because God was the wingman on that, and you use wisdom to pick that person, then he just wholeheartedly blesses it because of the fact that, and then he puts extra conviction on you about doing it his way instead of, and we've all been in worldly relationships, going outside of the godly way of doing things. Right. When you're in a godly relationship, there's that extra push and extra conviction of do this the right way so I can wholeheartedly bless it.
Yeah, bro, that was tough, man. Like, I've never had a relationship in the kingdom. So that's, yeah,
it's my first time, so.
It's tough, man, but like, and especially like you said, I like how you said, like, when God blesses it, he he throws it all in there and blesses it, right? Like, he'll give you that strength to do it his way, right? If he truly wants you to pursue that person. I did want to backtrack a little bit.
Absolutely.
I did actually just think of, after I answered, I apologize, I didn't mean to lie. I actually just thought of a couple instances where I have thought of that question. Okay. After, not even necessarily conflict, just after a difference of like, she does this or she thought that, or like, I don't know, like just different things that you learn about your partner where I'm like, do I want that for the rest of my life? And you have to think about those things. You have to think, like, you just do.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
So I have thought a few of those things, but it's been pretty like, yes. But like, I have thought about it, but it's been pretty smooth and effortless to like come back to my senses and be like, yeah, okay, it's good that I thought about that, but like, yeah, it's fine. That's not a huge deal. If it was like game changers, then, I probably would have said it up front, but they were always small things. Yeah. But yeah.
I think that's like the essence of it, right? Because it's like, I don't, let me hop to the wingman thing, right? As well, because like God's so funny, right?
He's hilarious.
I feel like there's like a little bit of an ego there as well, right? Because if like he's the matchmaker, like I feel like he wants to see y'all work out, because it's like, when you put your
I can't put y'all together and y'all don't work out, bro.
Right, exactly. Like you put two of your friends together and you're like, I had them meet at their wedding. You're like, y'all wouldn't have met if not for me.
Bro, our roommate Donnell is always gonna say that he put me and Rachel together. I know exactly what you're talking about. Exactly. Bro. It's that little boost of like, I did that.
That same thing, right? So he's gonna be like on the wedding day, like, I knew it would have worked out. See,
guys, like, if it wasn't for me.
That's like, put another dub down for me.
Amen. Glory to God.
And like completely destroys the other relationships that are not the way he meant.
And it's like, right, pick winning battles. I was like, nah. All right, yeah, that one. That's gonna be a dub right there. That's an easy dub.
He's like rolling his eyes when you pick something else outside of his wingman. It's like,
right, like stressing, like, bro, nah, like that was it right there, bro. You stressing me out, dog.
I was like, yeah, I'll bless it. But you guys are gonna argue at least twice a week. So.
And I was like, wow, you really just turned that one down. Like, all right, go be single for like the next 2 years. Right. I'm tired of dealing with you.
Yeah, I gotta reevaluate you, bro. You still don't know me yet.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ready for all that.
Like, look, I'm gonna have to put you on the bench. Like, facts. Nah.
Yeah, it's self-development for 2 years.
You're gonna just be sitting on the couch doing nothing, bro.
Sitting on the couch crying, like,
where's my wife? Where's my woman? Yeah, you gotta put in the work.
But that's the essence of it, though, right? It's like whether you just so happen to be like pre-selected from birth, or God just like wingmangs you together. You're like, all right, God, like here's where I'm at. Like I feel ready. If you think I'm ready, like here's kind of what my wants and needs are. And then God's like, oh, I bet my boy right here, this the one. And then you choose that person, right? These things take work. Like it takes effort. And the end of the day, you gotta think and just answer that question of like, do I want to be in this relationship? Conflicts are gonna happen, things are gonna come up. You have to say like, do I want to be in this relationship? Therefore, you have to choose. Like, I was not gonna force y'all to be together and be like, nah, like y'all locked. You can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's like you're still gonna have to choose that person. In both cases, you're gonna every day have to choose to be that person. Even if like you're destined and fated to be together, it's gonna get rocky sometimes, and it's not gonna be roses and butterflies, fairy tale, happily ever after. You're gonna have to do work and make that choice.
Right.
And I think that the thing to take away from like not believing in the predestined is like you have to do work. And that's like doing that work up front. Get yourself together, get yourself in order, spend your singleness well, serving God, serving those around you, building relationships, right? Because like when I like finally had an interest, I'm like, oh, like I may be interested in like talking to somebody, right? What helped me was the relationships and the friendships that I had with like so many other women, just like being like a good friend and brother to them, where I'm like, yo, like let me run this by you real quick, right? And I'm like, yo, thank God that I have these great relationships with our sisters and like so many women around us, like in our community, that I'm able to do that and like go and like talk to them and like get encouragement from them, right? And then be like, yo, if this person doesn't like you, they're stupid. I'm gonna fight them. I'm like, yeah, I feel better now. Like, thank you. Or just like straight like real advice. And like building those relationships, working on your foundation and like your relationship with God, because if you don't have that relation, like if you don't have that, your relationship with another person, it's not gonna work out. So do what you need to do the work up front, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a choice. So be ready to have discernment and make that choice.
Wow. Yeah.
Honestly, I would echo all of that on the predestination side too, because if you truly do believe that there is a predestined person for you, you still have to put in the work. You still have to make the decision to pursue that person, right? You still have to have wisdom and discernment to surrender your will to God, right? Like that's what we talked about, is like, you still have free will, but God will work on you in your faith. So if your faith is telling you that you have a predestined person out there, somewhere about there, you still got to work on yourself. You still got to build relationships. You still got to go out there and do the work. You still got to make sure your relationship with God is on point, right? And you still have to have the wisdom and the discernment to, when you come across somebody that you think potentially could be a partner and potentially could be your predestined partner, are you still going to surrender to God? Are you still going to surrender to his plan and his will for your life and try to hear him and listen to him to know if you should pursue that person, to know if that person is predestined for you, right? And then from there, again, same thing. You still got to put in the work. Even if you have a predestined partner, relationships are work. Yeah. It's a sacrifice. It's compromise. It's working on yourselves. And you guys should be bringing each other up and bringing each other closer to God. And, I think both points can be made for both sides. All the points that you shared can be said for predestined, but at the end of the day, it's dependent on what your convictions are and what your faith is telling you, and God will work with you on your faith no matter which side you end up choosing. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you believe in predestined, like if that's what your faith is telling you, walk in that faith and know that you still got to put in that work.
Yeah, don't let yourself get lazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of the things when I first started dating Chalesha, she had mentioned, she said,
who?
Her name's Chalesha. Yeah, okay. Jemima.
Okay.
Yeah. So I call her.
Sorry,
Chalesha.
I just never heard you say that.
I know. Yeah,
I got you. I'm like, wait, you talking to someone else?
No. Jemima. So when I first started dating her, she said what you mentioned, right? Number one, we wake up every day with the choice to love each other. It's a choice to put all, and it's 100 effort between the both of you. Right. But one of the things that she also mentioned that was so real is like, especially when God gives you that okay, like when he wingmans it or it's the predestined person, that the enemy is going to try to break it up, but it's not going to be necessarily through toxic things. It will be through you not dealing with yourself and the problems within yourself arise to try to separate you as if you're not adequate or ready enough for the relationship.
Yeah.
So it is being aware of that those attacks come, and it's why it's important to ask yourself, am I willing to, based on this argument or based on this conversation, am I willing to continue to go through this? Because those attacks are coming anyways, especially if God ordains it to separate you, because he's going to use you for powerful things, right? That's whether you're predestined, whether God wingmans you, or whether you just made a wise choice. If God's in the center of that, there's going to be an attempt from the enemy to separate you, and not every argument or issue is the idea that it's not meant to be, but it's just remembering that you're making the choice that no matter what happens, I'm going to love you through this. I'm going to be with you through that. And when she said that to me, I was like, this is why I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Like, you know? But it was so insightful, and it was eye-opening too. You know,
Amen, bro.
So this was such a good conversation, guys. I really love hearing both sides of what you guys think, and I really hope this was impactful for the viewers, guys. Like, chat,
definitely.
chat.
Let us know.
Let us know. Let us
Throw
know.
the comments in there, y'all. Spark up conversation. We would love to see you guys' thoughts on it. You know, get some threads going in the comments.
Absolutely.
Talk to other people. Talk to your family, church, all that.
If you want to hear us talk about something else, let us know. If you feel like we misrepresented the way that you feel, let us know how you feel.
Yeah.
If you agree with one side or the other, let us know what that is. If you have an experience where it worked out for you or it didn't work out for you, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Let us know. Feel free to comment anything that you want to hear talked about. If you got any ideas that you really are just passionate about, or if you really want to, if you ever want us to be on live and we're talking about it live and you want to join the discussion, we would love to see your live comments on how you feel. But we're excited to continue to keep growing with you. I pray that this is an awesome podcast, that you are enjoying everything that you see, and that we can be impactful. So we look forward to seeing you again. And until next time, take it easy.
Now you got some struggles, come let's talk about it. I know you got some pain, come let's talk about it. You thumbing through that rain, we gon' talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We building up that kingdom, we gon' heal the body. Just 3 men sitting here, we tryna be so godly. Got purpose in the tongue so we can hear your calling. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.